So listen, I'm not good at story time, but this one here, I felt like for story time, I wanted to share. I have been thinking about like my childhood, right? Like what can I talk about that's maybe interesting. Okay, so when I was a kid, I had this bike, and I couldn't afford, the bikes that everybody else had, and the bike that was real popular back then was Swin. It wasn't none of these mountain bikes that you got now with all these different names. It was a Swin. I could never get a Swin. We couldn't afford a Swin. We got this big old bike, like what you see now that people drive with the crazy handlebars, right? That comes around, and I went and I was building bikes. I was putting bikes together. I was finding frames here, wheels here, and I would put bikes together. And one day somebody gave me a Swin, right? I was so happy to bring it home because it's like, like you people with the Apple phones, right? It's prestige. Prestige is everything to everybody, right? And so thank you, Meg, thank you. And so I got this Swin, right? And I put some wheels on it. I decked it out, and I put reflectors in the wheels. You guys may not know about reflectors, right? Anyway, I put them in both the wheels, right? And it made it reflect. Then I put the little blinker, that goes this way and that way with the arrow, right? And then I put some headlights on my bike, right? And I had the handlebars that came straight up, and I was good to go. I was happy to have that bike, right? And those were some of the happiest days of my life. And so I used to ride my bike a certain way, me and the fellows that I was hanging out with at that time. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with this word, right? I used to wheelie my bike. Now, I don't know if you haven't heard that from in any other countries, or maybe even in the United States. You may not have heard of this, right? But it's when you lift the front wheel up and you wheelie the bike, right? You ride the bike just like that with the front wheel up. Now, just think, right? We had gangster white walls, right? On the bike, right? Because that was everything. That's what they used to wear on the cars, right? And then sometimes I would take the front wheel off and put it on the back like a kit. They used to wear those kit back in the days on like the Eldorados and Cadillacs and stuff like that, right? Thank you, Darcy. Hey, Graphics girl. And I used to ride that bike. I'm telling you, I love that bike. And I was good at wheeling, right? And I used to wheelie for miles, right? Used to put my hand over the handlebars like that, like most of us put our hands over the steering wheel when we be in the car, right? I was riding like that. Sometimes I was able to do it with no hands. We were doing it. And I enjoyed that bike, right? I finally had a bike that I was able to hang out with everybody else that had a Swin, right? And so one day I took my bike, and this is when I used to drink. I don't drink anymore, right? I don't drink. I don't get out. I don't do none of those things. And so there were some days, right? I had heard Eddie Murphy was talking about it, right? And I actually did it. I rode my bike to the lake, and I didn't live far from the lake. I ride up to the lake with my golden champagne. Came in like a nice little bottle, right? And I used to drink what was called, they had the pink, and then they had golden, right? And I take my golden champagne, take my bike up to the lake by myself. I didn't have a girlfriend, and I just was like reflecting, watching the moon shimmy off the lake. Oh man, it was beautiful. I would put my kickstand down, sit on my bike, kind of scoot down the brown paper bag and just chug while I just sit back and just reflect on the beauty of the water and life. And that was one of the happiest days of my life without a care in the world.